All right. Hey, Chris.
Hey there.
Thanks so much for jumping on. Before we get started with any of the questions, do you mind just going through and telling our viewers who you are and where you work?
Yeah, I'm Chris Cahonen. I'm software engineer at OpenSea. We are the world's largest online marketplace for NFTs, tokens, and other digital assets.
It's an incredible product. You guys have tons of super engaged users. Can you talk to me a little bit more about before we started working together, what sort of the pain point was that you all were trying to solve?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right. We have a ton of engaged users, and we've spent years really cultivating. We talk to our users on Twitter, on Discord. We have one-on-one customer support conversations. We really sort of try and keep the pulse on that community and get their feedback because that drives how we build product. The biggest pain point we had before we started using Cotera was just being able to sort of get a view of all of this feedback and triage it and then feed that into our systems, into our decision-making processes. Um, with thousands of users posting new messages, it's really hard to isolate the signal from the noise. It's really hard to identify issues that may be affecting lots of users and triage those effectively. Um, that I think was just the biggest pain point we were experiencing. And with Cotera, we really sort of built workflows that helped us sort of get the important stuff in front of the people that needed to see it. We used it to triage our linear issues so that if something came in from a user, we could easily tell, is it a bug? Is it a critical issue? Do we have the right information for the user? Do we need to go back and sort of collect additional context around that? And then that sort of feeds our sort of product road mapping. It allows us to identify bugs that are affecting users and throw those into a high priority queue for our software engineers. And as we've grown both our team, our product surface, and also our usage of AI coding tools, having all of that additional context supplied really helps us um, quickly resolve these issues and also just gives us confidence that we're resolving the right things.
That makes a ton of sense. So to reiterate, like the way the AI agent works is it sits on top of linear, or sorry, it sits on top of all of the different customer feedback channels, interpolates it, tries to understand, um, what the issues are, and then puts them in front of the right people, either as a linear ticket or in some other capacity.
Exactly. So if there's related issues, it will group them together. If there are sort of you have a rambling sort of thread of comments, it really sort of helps rewrite that into a format that humans and AIs can understand and sort of really sort of grok. It'll categorize them into sort of certain areas that correspond to our product domains. And then, yeah, all of that flows downstream into all of our systems for triaging and managing those issues.
That's incredible. Where do you think the ROI from this comes from? Like where do you see the biggest either efficiency gains or what do you feel like it's allowed you to do and step up in that you weren't able to do before because it was taking so much time to do this?
Yeah, I think there's sort of two areas. The first is that if you're doing regular sort of triage of inbound, that's taking time. And that might be one person on a team, it may be sort of a number of folks. Um, by having this sort of AI's first triage, it helps us really sort of whittle down that sort of list of items that we need to sort of sit down and manually review and talk about. If there's a bug with the product, that can very quickly be sent to that to the team responsible, and in some cases, it can also be sent to an AI software engineer to fix it. So, whereas normally things would be sitting in a backlog waiting for someone to look at it, we've already got a pull request fixing the user issue. And that is sort of really useful, especially when you're shipping product at scale. And often, not every issue is critical, it's important, but you don't necessarily always prioritize that, and it never gets done. It sits in a backlog, it goes in an icebox, and it goes off and dies. Whereas with all the context we're getting and the fact that we can easily action it, it actually gets taken care of, and that's awesome. It means that we ship a better product. I think the second area is just it's often hard to know if something is an issue that's affecting one user or 1,000 users. And with the grouping of issues, it really just helps us prioritize and easily be able to say, well, hey, we should actually care about this because you have 1,000 people over here talking about it. And you get those insights with sort of traditional analysis, but it just takes time. Whereas I think with sort of what Cotera is doing, it just gets it in front of the right people earlier.
That's incredible. So it's both on sort of the day-to-day task management end, but also at a high level. Hey, like what do we prioritize? You guys are using it in a really, really good way because most teams will stop at number one, right? They almost never look at the bigger picture, but it's cool that you guys are looking at the bigger picture and using it to make decisions as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like the way sort of software engineering and product development has been changing, like this is a tool that a lot of teams maybe don't know they need, but once they start using it, I think you start seeing little efficiencies. And you're also, I think, challenged to sort of think about how you can optimize even further. We started with basic sort of categorization, we moved on to groupings, we moved on to how do we actually sort of structure the output so that we can hand this off to AIs. And it's sort of really grown with us as we've switched more software engineering to AI code gen. As we've embraced generative AI, this has been a very complementary tool for us.
Thank you. Thanks so much for coming on. Thanks so much for talking about it, obviously. And yeah, we look forward to building more AI agents together.
Absolutely. Can't wait.